All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first Fox Sports NBL Alumni episode. So this episode is going to cover previous players in the NBL. And first up, we have none other than Alan Big Sauce Williams, who played 2 seasons with South East Melbourne Phoenix. Alan, thanks you for coming on the show, mate.
No, I appreciate you having me on. Excited to talk about the season, kind of what's going on now, and just excited to get back and holler at the fans back in the NBL.
All right, man. So first, we're going to go through just your previous. So for people who don't know you and stuff, those who are listening obviously have a very good idea of your time in 2 seasons in NBL. Can you say just going back, NBL 23 and NBL 24, just how you landed with the South East Melbourne Phoenix, and just go through your time and how your experience being in Australia was.
Yeah, it was just a transitional point in my career. I just left Russia. I did a European stint for 3 seasons and was kind of in between figuring out where I wanted to play next. Hadn't heard much about the NBL. I knew a couple of the players that played there. James Ennis, who I played against in college, won a championship in Perth, and he was raving about it, and just was excited for the opportunity to go play in a place I hadn't played before. Obviously, the commonality in the language definitely helped as a selling point, and again, just a place I wanted to explore and see. And I touched down, and I fall in love with this building, booming kind of league and amazing fan base all around the country. I think Australians just in general love sport. And so just to see them get behind the league and the different teams and different places we got a chance to play, like I said, just fell in love with Australia and their culture and their love for sports. So it was super easy for me to transition. And I had an amazing 2 years playing for the South East Melbourne Phoenix.
Now, outside of basketball, did you enjoy some of the highlights of Melbourne? Melbourne doesn't have like very touristy things, but like, did you go out to some, Phillip Island or anything? Did you like the food? You a coffee drinker?
Big time coffee drinker. Melbourne coffee culture is number 1 in the world, in my opinion.
Wow, that's a big call.
Yeah, it's not really touristy, but like I'm a sports junkie, so I would call myself a sports tourist. And
Okay.
if you are traveling and want to see sport like Australia, Melbourne is the sport capital of Australia, no doubt. You got the Grand Prix, you got the AFL Grand Final, you got basketball, you got A-League, you got rugby, you got everything kind of going on under the sun. And so just getting a chance to be around there and see that culture in those 2 years was just phenomenal. On top of that, it's extremely international, super diverse. And so the cuisine and the food and shopping and all that stuff is something that my wife and I really enjoyed. And we spent a lot of time just kind of exploring around. And so, yeah, Melbourne will always have a special place in my heart. And I can't say nothing bad about it other than the fact that the weather's kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it's always it's 4 seasons one day.
Bro,
I remember you also did the. I think I was at that match where you had that Oz Open experience with Novak Djokovic. You remember that?
How could I forget? Like I totally.
I'm pretty sure you lifted him to do a dunk.
Yeah, I taught him how to dunk, even though I don't really dunk. But basketball is basketball. So I remember throwing a lob up to him, and he went up and got it. And so, I mean, that's just an example of like the different kinds of things you'll see on any given week in Melbourne. And so that Australian Open experience, I went both years I was there. It was phenomenal. Got to see some of the best talent in the world do their thing. And so, yeah, it's just the space is endless for the things that you can do down there. And I think that's Australia as a whole, though, right? Like, you just you kind of forget about it when you're in the States just because it's so far away. But then you get down there and you realize, like, wow, this is really one of the better places that I've been to in the world. So,
well, I think you can put it on your resume that you're probably the only person on the planet to help Novak Djokovic dunk a basketball. So that's pretty good.
Right. No, for sure. I hope he doesn't forget it. Just remember something.
Yeah, I don't think he forgets it. Since departing South Melbourne Phoenix, you unfortunately had your season-ending injury with your knee, and then you left the club, which everyone hated. Everyone's still very hopeful you'll come back, regardless if it's playing or like a media role or something. I think you're very good in front of the camera. So just go us through. So you departed South East Melbourne Phoenix, had time to repair, get back into shape and stuff, and then you went to South Korea. And just go through your experience in South Korea before we touch on Japan.
Yeah, South Korea was awesome. was with the Goyang Sono Sky Gunners,
Yeah,
just about 30 minutes outside of Seoul in South Korea. The KBL is a very competitive league. It's much different than the NBL,
yeah.
whereas you're the import, and so a lot of the responsibility is on your shoulders rather than kind of like sharing that amongst your other teammates. And so just getting back to just having the ball in my hands the whole game basically was a lot of fun for me. I was there for a period of time and then left for the birth of my son. The team
Congratulations, by
was
the way.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The team was great enough to allow me to do that, stay home for a period of time, and then come back and finish
Yeah,
the season out. And so, just very just appreciative of the Sky Gunners and how that season went, and allowed me to show that I was healthy again, so that I can get back to the places that I wanted to really get to. And so, that's kind of how I landed back in Japan. Obviously, played with the Nagoya Diamond Dolphins in the stint between my first year in the NBL and the second year in the NBL.
yeah.
Sean Dennis, the head coach, was with Perth for a time. I think he coached in where is it? Newcastle, Townsville, maybe back in the day. He was an NBL Australian coach, and so we have a really good rapport there. And so he called my phone and said they wanted me back in a different kind of role than I've been playing in the past. Someone who's going to come in and just try to be as physical as possible, help to support the rest of the team, and get the ball moving and create extra possessions for the team. And so it was a role that I was excited about. It's less wear and tear on my body, I'd say, because I'm playing far less minutes now than I have in the
Yeah.
past, probably 3 or 4 seasons. And so hopefully that helps me to extend my career and allows me to continue to play places. But yeah, no, just getting back to Japan and being on the team that I'm on now, we're really good, extremely talented, and we're heading in the right direction. So being a part of a winning side is a lot of fun, and the experience that I've had both of these places in Asia has just been amazing.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I'm quite impressed with your career. And I think a lot of people who are not familiar with your history, obviously, you've played nearly 70 games in the NBA for Phoenix and Brooklyn. And then you've played in CBA in China, which is very popular at the moment for imports, especially, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you've gone and played with Lokomotiv in Russia, which is,
Hmm.
a team last season that had former Cairns Taipans, Patrick Miller and
Yeah.
Antonius Cleveland on the same
Yep.
team, which is
Yep.
wild.
And
Um,
Tajir McCall was there too.
and Tajir McCall. So
Yeah,
that's a
Tajir
crazy
McCall.
trio. That is a
Crazy
very
trio.
crazy trio.
Crazy
How,
trio.
how, how would you compare? So I don't like ranking leagues because I think every league has its strengths and weaknesses. So
Yeah.
was your time in Russia, was that a lot of fun?
A lot of
It
fun.
looks competitive. It looks physical.
It was. I mean, it was it was the highest level. I would say the highest competition level in terms of just overall talent across the board. The Russian league at the time had 3 EuroLeague teams, 2 Euro Cup teams, 2 Champions League teams. So every given night within the domestic competition, it was a dogfight, right? And at the same time, we're traveling around Europe and playing an extremely high level of basketball in
Yeah.
these different countries as well. So coming straight from the NBA, that was just like I think the best thing for me to get a chance to one experience different cultures and see the world, but two understand what like overseas basketball is really about and how much pride each of these countries take in their domestic leagues as well. And so I think being able to play there and do that really set me up to be able to play good brand of FIBA basketball when I played in the NBL and then came over to Japan. So yeah, I was Russia was a lot of fun. I know those three guys had a great time there and also played some really competitive basketball.
Yeah, watching their highlights and seeing the team's socials with those three, they look like
Yeah,
they were all best mates, and it
for
was
sure.
unreal. The fact that all three of them were on the same team.
No, for sure.
So now we go to Japan, we go to the B League. So I think B League's been put on a map a lot this season. Like I try my best to cover it because I think it's quite an interesting league. And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the last season before they introduce a salary cap. So this is like, and it's proven what we can see. There are so many NBL alumni currently in Japan at the moment. Like I think it wasn't even 48 hours ago you were playing against Yanni Wetzel and Keanu Pinder at
Yeah.
Akita. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy. Like how was your matchup with them? Do you when you play? I'm not saying all NBL players are friends and stuff, but do you chat before or after the game, go over like your experiences in the league and stuff? You obviously run into each other in the league one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, the world of basketball is extremely small. And then when you get to Australia, it's even smaller, right? And so anytime you play against someone that has that similar experience, played in Australia, from Australia, whatever it is, I just think there's just a natural connection that kind of goes with it. While we're competitors on the court, I think off the court, everybody wants the same thing. They want to be able to provide for their family. They want to be able to have a positive experience. They want to be able to see the world and culture. I've been fortunate enough to be able to go different places and understand different kind of things, and so I tend to try to lend a helping hand if I can, whether that be a recommendation for a restaurant, whether that just be a word of encouragement to a guy that I can see probably not having the best time or in the best situation, whatever it may
Yeah.
be. And so I think it's really important for us as athletes to stick together and try to support each other whenever we can. And so obviously that NBL connection is always going to be there. And I definitely do think that anytime I get a chance to get on the court with anybody else that's played in Australia in the NBL or even in Russia where I played against, we do have those conversations of like, hey man, how's it going? How's everything? Just keep pushing. You know why you're here. Enjoy it. You know, it's a very finite period of time where we get to be professional athletes, and so the more encouragement and support we can give each other, I think the better off we'll all be.
Have you guys played Toyoma Grouses yet?
Yeah, we play Trey
Yeah, okay. So you played Trey,
and Buckman.
obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
and
you go.
Buckman.
So people listening, so obviously Trey Carl was a former South East Melbourne Phoenix player with Alan Moons,
Yeah,
and now he's NBL 25 champion. So
yeah.
did he show you the ring? Does he have the ring at all? I don't know
Nah,
if
I
they
didn't
even
see
got
the
it
ring.
yet.
I asked him about it. I was gonna go over to his apartment afterwards and maybe grab some food, but the game ended super late and we had to drive a long bus drive, so I didn't get a chance to see it. But I know he definitely showed me it if I asked for sure. Maybe in the
I
summertime when I
mean,
go down to
you
San
can
Diego and see
ask
him.
you can ask Darius Days because I think he plays at San Ant
Yeah,
Phoenix.
no, we played we
Yeah,
played we played Darius Days in a preseason match the week before the season started. So yeah, man, again, like there's NBL talent all across
crazy,
the B League. I
crazy.
think if you're an NBL fan, you probably should be a B League fan, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Obviously, with the B League Premier coming up next year, I think you'll probably see more NBL talent go. Sorry, NBL fans, but that's just the nature of the beast at this point in time because Japan is really booming right now.
Yeah, and they're serious about their league, so they have plans and like it's. I hope one day NBL and B League collab or something like that.
That would be amazing.
Get an Asia tournament happening. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I'm so down for that. All right, so next we're going to go to the next segment. So obviously after last night's game, you were praising, Arizona local. Like I want to know. I don't know much about Zylan Cheatham and your relationship. I know you're both born in the same place,
yeah.
but so you did a tweet praising, saying like Zylan Cheatham on the screen. Everyone can see the tweet. So can you give us an insight on like, did you guys grow up? Did you have any relationship growing up, or is this just like an Phoenix, Arizona respect?
No, that's really like family, like my little brother for real. Like growing up, we grew up not too far away from each other, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes from each other. We're kind of in the same club ball system, had similar coaches all growing up. I'm obviously older. For the longest, I wanted Zylan to come to my high school. We had won two
Oh
state
wow.
championships. He was younger, super athletic, really raw in his game, and we felt like we could like help him get to the point that he needed to get to and want to get to. He obviously chose a different route in a different place, but he was extremely successful in high school, was a straight beast. And then throughout college, we just stayed in contact. And now we have the same professional basketball trainer. So in the off season, we work out together. I probably see him 2 or 3 times every week. So
Oh
yeah,
wow.
that's
Okay.
that's that's my guy. It's coming. When I say I'm biased, I definitely am. But when I say that I understand what he's going to reach, and I say he's going to score more. It's just because he works at it. Like he's an extremely cerebral basketball player, a heck of a teammate. I think the mic'd up session that you saw this season in the NBL with him was just a true indication of like who he is. One as a person and a competitor, but two as like a teammate, right? Like
Yeah.
he's extremely supportive, extremely vocal, and then he works his butt off. And so I think he's had some different situations throughout his career, and I just think that him being in Adelaide right now is like the best thing for him, and it's giving him a chance and everybody a chance to really see what he can do. And I'm hoping the next step is the NBA for him because there's no reason in my opinion or my eyes that he shouldn't be playing in the NBA right now. So hopefully he can keep pushing and keep working and get Adelaide to the places that they strive to get to, and he can be rewarded handsomely for it with a real shot back in the NBA.
Yeah, I think everything you said is just absolutely spot on. I agree. I spoke to him 2 weeks ago for a little interview, and I think I was trying to showcase to him that not people are, like your scoring is not a big deal. Like we know you can score, and I was saying people are respecting the fact that like there's not many imports that would come into this league and take a role hit and be like, look, we don't need you to be the scorer. You're not on the New Zealand Breakers anymore. Like he was averaging 15 and 7 with the Breakers, and all of a sudden he's one of the best role players alongside Bryce Cotton. We joke that if the league actually recorded screen assists, he'd probably be up there as number one. He's leads the league in rebounds. Already has set a record for assists this season. So he's growing before our eyes, and he's just showcasing that he's like a bit of a Swiss Army knife player. Like he can do it all, and the fact that he's probably the most athletic player in the league as well.
It's ridiculous, and he can score it, right? Like we all know he can score it. He had the 30-point game against Melbourne United back when before his injury in New Zealand. He had the 21, 12, and 9 game this season. Like he can score it with the best of them. Like that's not a doubt. I've seen the work, right? Like we work out together. I've seen him run off 33s in a row. I've seen him drive to the basket, work on handles, and do all these things. He's very capable of it, but he understands that the goal of this is to win games, right? Like to whatever it takes to win games, he's shown that he's willing to do. And again, like I just think that he's going to have a run of 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row where he's getting 15, 20 every night. And everybody's going to be like, damn, he might actually be the most complete player in the NBL, right? Like, I just think that those are the kind of conversations that we'll probably have at the end of this season in the NBL, is that he's one of the more complete players that we've seen in this league.
Would you say because the league is obviously a positionless all NBL, would you put him in the all NBL first team or second team right now?
For sure, right now. Just from his impact on the court, right? Like for what he does offensively, defensively. I like to, even though we don't do the position stuff, I still kind of have a breakdown of like what my all NBL first team looks like, and it's in its position. I have positions in it just because it makes it easier to kind of like categorize guys. So.
So now we're going to go. You obviously form a team. You obviously pay attention to the league. You're constantly on social media, tweeting. Did you catch last night's game in Tasmania?
I didn't catch it. I only saw the highlights. We were traveling throughout the day, so I didn't get a chance to sit down and watch it.
It was pretty intense. I nearly lost it in the end, but it's pretty good. So do you still keep in contact with people from South East Melbourne, like not just the players, the staff and everyone? And if so, have you ever spoken to Josh King? Do you know what kind of coach he was coming in to South East Melbourne Phoenix?
Never spoken to Josh King, but yeah, I still talk to the guys over there. I still talk to Trig all the time, Luke, Brennan. Basically, maybe once or twice a month, we reach out to each other and like just talk a little bit about basketball and whatever it's like. But no, I and having conversations with him, I understand that Josh is a great basketball mind, exactly what Southeast Melbourne Phoenix needed at the time, and then they just constructed a really good roster around kind of his philosophy. And I think the addition of a guy like John Brown III, who I played against in Russia, one of my guys, it was a perfect piece. Obviously, Owen Foxwell, everybody's kind of surprised about this, but I saw it early, right? Like I was there when he was on just after his DP season, and he was barely playing, but practice every day. He's 110%, giving everything he has and putting in the skill work to be able to develop the jump shot and the drives to the basket. And so just to see all of those pieces kind of come together for that club, I'm really excited for the fans. Like that fire pit is rocking on a consistent basis, and those very loyal and true fans of that upstart team now are really on the forefront of this, and they have something to really be excited about. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's so good. So let's get your take on. Obviously, you got your own team and league to worry about and stuff. So I'm not expecting you to be fully on board, like constantly watching the NBL. But there's been a lot of blowouts this season early on. Like there have been a lot of 40-point blowouts and stuff. Yeah. And then compare that with last season. I think we had 3 imports depart the league early and mid-season, like Craig Short and that. And this season, I think we're already up to 8. And that includes like players like
Amari
Amari
Moore.
Moore, who
Yeah.
never actually played,
Yeah.
and the Rens Bleisenberg, which is just just not sinking and stuff. So, in your professional opinion as a player and stuff, what do you attribute that to? Do you think it's teams not preparing during the off season and then they're using the season and the first couple of games to try and mold their team the best they can? Like with Perth Wildcats, they got Mason Jones. He departed after 5 games. Now they've got David Duke Jr. So is this more of reactionary than being proactive?
Uh, I, I think it's tough. I think the biggest piece of the NBL import world, in my opinion, is the financials,
Yeah,
right? Like it's the amount of money that you can offer a player to come over there and be your import. I think that limitation, right, creates its own set of issues. And then you have the contract structure on
yeah,
what's guaranteed and what's not guaranteed. That differs from every person, right? And so you kind of have this ability to be able to throw something at the board, and if it doesn't work, then you can go somewhere else, or you can ask to leave the team because you know Europe was probably still going to be an option. So I think it's a mixture of a lot of different factors. I do think for the ones that are still there and have stuck, it's worked out right. But I do think there's a piece of the NBL typically has to wait until the end of the free agency cycle
yeah,
internationally to pick then what's left. And so
yeah,
they're kind of left with the short end of the stick in a lot of situations and not being able to truly do their due diligence on players because the guy they probably wanted first is gone playing in Europe this year.
yeah,
And so now they're on their second, third, fourth option certain times. And so obviously I'm not a GM, so I don't know that to be the case. But as a professional player myself who's had these discussions on my the amount I'm going to get paid or what's guaranteed and what's not guaranteed, you're going into it and having Australia not extremely high on your list just because of that initial financial piece of it. So
yeah. And I think that's something during the off season that fans are becoming more aware of is that
yeah,
although we do consider ourselves a pretty good league. Like I'll be blunt
yeah,
and be like, I don't think we're the second best league in the world because I've
yeah,
watched European teams and they're just
for
crazy.
sure.
But we're getting there, and that's a goal to reach.
Yeah,
But we cannot compete with some salaries. Like there's some crazy money out there. It's just wild.
yeah, yeah. And I think you got a lot of programs too. Like the Next Star program is awesome, and how that's continuing to develop, and you starting to see guys go and get drafted in the first
Yeah,
round basically every year from that program, and next year should be no different. You got guys coming out, and so yeah, it's a lot of spotlight and the living situation. Like anybody that reaches out to me and asks me what Australia was like, I'm like, it's the best place you could possibly be outside the U.S. You just got to be okay with taking probably less money than you would get somewhere else. If you can be okay with that and understand like the living conditions are going to be amazing, the structure of the organization is going to be amazing, the fans are great, the arenas you play in are awesome. If you can get with that part of it and that's what you're looking for at this point in time in your career, then Australia's the best place for you.
yeah. I did speak to a player who was an import last season, who I won't name, but he mentioned that he's just like, I literally took a 50% pay cut just
Yeah.
so I could be in Australia, just because I wanted
Yep.
to experience the lifestyle and everything.
Yep.
So that's interesting that imports are willing to do that, to choose the lifestyle over the money, which is really cool to see. So I got 3 questions. I asked people on Twitter to ask you some questions. So we're going to go first one. This is from Travis Hoops. So he's very loyal fan and everything. So he's gone, hello, Mr. Source. Much love from Australia. How do you find the challenges of adjusting to different leagues across the world? And what is the biggest piece of advice you could give to young pros who are trying to make it?
Yeah. I think the biggest adjustment would probably be just kind of like style of play, right? Like I think every country, every league plays basketball a little bit different. I know for me, when I go into a space, I like to do my research prior to getting there and just get an understanding of who's played there before, what their game is like, and what teams have played there and who is successful, this and that. And then I just go in with an idea of like, I got to be myself. They're bringing me here to do exactly what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And so
Yeah,
that's been my calling card throughout my career, and just understanding that if I can create extra possessions, if I can play hard, if I can be physical, then I'll put myself in a good position to be able to have a job. And then if I could give any advice to any young hoopers out there or young professionals trying to make it, it's just don't be afraid to step out on a ledge and jump. Just go for it. if there's an opportunity outside of a place that you thought you were comfortable with, and it seems right, take that chance and just go in there with the mindset of wanting to work hard and wanting to be the best version of yourself, and it typically works out that way. And then the last thing I would say too is culturally really immerse yourself in that culture. Like hang out with your teammates, your local teammates, do kind of the things that they do, and really try to make that place your home. And so it doesn't feel like you're necessarily overseas or in a different location. You've actually put some roots down and made that feel like home for you.
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point before when you mentioned recommending players to get in the community and wherever country they're in, whatever team they're in, because I think even though you only spent 2 seasons here, I'm pretty sure 90% of NBL fans consider you Australian, like already.
Man,
Because man, I am so impressed during the AFL season when you're tweeting about AFL and stuff. I'm just like, this guy is so switched on. He's just secretly an Australian right now, which is really cool to see.
no, it's Australia's a place that is extremely welcoming. Like I just
Yeah.
felt welcomed as soon as I touched down there. And then my partner came over with me, and we just felt like it's just an amazing place to be and extremely supportive and welcoming. So it makes it easy to be able to get into the community and do those kind of things when you feel like you're welcome there.
This is from Mr. Robinson, a nice guy on Twitter as well. So he says, if you could add yourself to any current NBL roster, where would you choose?
Southeast.
Very good question. Yeah, I knew you were going to say
Like
that.
right now, I'd be backing up Jordy Hunter. He's cooking right now. I'd give Josh King 15 to 17 minutes of the best I could possibly give and create a post presence there to be able to open up some cutting for Foxy and space out shots for Angus Glover and pick and rolls for Nathan Sobey coming off. Like all those kind of things would just be awesome. Just to be back there, back in the fire pit. It would be really cool.
Can I recommend a team that desperately needs a current power forward center on their team right
What's
now?
that? What's that?
It's Sydney Kings.
Yeah, Sydney. I love Sydney. I'll tell you that.
Would
That
you
would
do
be
pick and rolls with Kendrick Davis and Matthew
that would be
Dellavedova?
really good. Or like me and like Tim Suarez on the court at the same time. He can kind of stretch the floor and create some space for him to do that with my rolls and seals. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. And then obviously to
Yeah.
get a chance to play with Xavier Cooks, that's definitely on my list for sure. He's one of the greatest players I've played against. Honestly, he's a beast.
All right. Third question, last one. So, and this is more of a statement than a question. So, is this guy is suggesting? So, when you're done playing, would you ever consider coming back to commentate? Because you're very very charismatic player. So, is that something? Not that the offer's there, but if that came around and once you post, after retirement and everything, would you ever come back to Australia and commentate in the NBL?
1,000%. Look, my agent's ready for the call whenever they're ready to make the call. Whenever I'm deciding to hang it up, I've already told him that being back in Australia, talking about the NBL and even other sports is something that I'm extremely interested in. I feel like I can engage with the fans there extremely easily and comfortably. And I always got my ear to what's going on down under. And so, yeah, I'd love to be back there and commentate and be a media personality or sports personality, whatever it may be. Obviously, when the ball stops bouncing, but
Yes, of course.
that'd be something cool. That'd be something cool for sure.
So is this you saying that you kind of planting the seeds? Like, would Australia be, or Melbourne especially, be a place for you to raise your son with your
I
partner
think so.
here?
Yeah, my wife and
Yeah.
I have talked about it. We really like Australia, and we could definitely see ourselves living there for a period of time. And I don't think there's any question that if the right opportunity presented itself, we could be packing up and moving out there and being a part of that community for sure.
I think that's going to excite a lot of South East Melbourne Phoenix fans
It's awesome. I appreciate that.
because you're always on top of the discussion constantly, which is fantastic. So just give us one last thing you'd like to give to the NBL fans for this season, and give us your prediction who's going to win this season, which I kind of think I know who you're going to say.
Yeah, no. Message for the fans in the NBL. Thank you so much for your constant support and continued support. I extremely enjoy engaging with you on Twitter or any other social media platforms. Always happy to talk hoops. Always happy to talk Australian sports. So I appreciate the love and support. And then my winner for NBL 26 this season will be the Adelaide 36ers.
Wow, I did not
Yeah.
expect that. Here we
I
go.
mean,
Zylan Cheatham.
you got King Bryce, you got Zylan Cheatham, you got Isaac Humphries who's cooking. I just think that they got the pieces there to be able to make a really good run at it, and that's my selection for the winners. Sorry, South East Melbourne fans, but yeah, that's who I got. That's who I got.
That they actually have another spot for a third import. Do you think they'll go down that route?
You can take your time with it. When the
Yeah,
right one
that's
presents
the
itself, I
luxury.
think you take the advantage of that opportunity. Otherwise, you keep rolling with what you got. But if somebody that you have studied and done your due diligence on becomes available, then yeah, of course you go out and you make that move.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so thanks everyone for joining this. This is the very first episode of an ongoing segment we're doing at Fox Sports. So we're going to chat to NBL alumni, previous players, even if they only played 1 season, 2 seasons, doesn't matter. So Alan Williams was our very first guest, so that's a legendary debut for us. Next episode, we're going to have NBL 24 champion and legend is Jordan Crawford. So yeah, thanks to everyone for joining, and we'll be back next week for the next episode. So thank you so much.
Awesome, appreciate you, Jack.